Hi, in 2014, Facebook was a 10-year-old company that had been listed for 2 years. Times were good, but something had become very clear to Zuckerberg and the team at Facebook. Facebook was growing, but it could all come to an end in an instant. This belief came to a head about 3 weeks ago when in its near 20-year existence, Facebook daily user base shrank. Facebook stopped growing, and its market value is down more than $300 billion. So what had Zuckerberg worried back in 2014 about Facebook's future? Well, he had two problems, Apple and Google. And his solution to this problem is the Metaverse. So Facebook went on a spending spree back in 2014, acquiring Oculus, a virtual reality, augmented reality company for $14 billion, and WhatsApp, the messaging platform, for $19 billion. These acquisitions were supposed to future-proof Facebook, but did they? In this video, we're going to find out if the Metaverse can save Meta platforms or Facebook. Is now an opportune time to be buying shares in Facebook? Let's get into it. Okay, so you probably have two questions. What is the Metaverse and how will it save Facebook? It is important to know that at this stage, the Metaverse is a purely theoretical idea. No one really knows what the final version of the Metaverse will be. It's definitely not a crypto coin. But this is how Zuckerberg describes the Metaverse that they're trying to build at Facebook.
It's a virtual environment where you can be present with people in digital spaces. Kind of think about this as an embodied internet that you're inside of rather than just looking at. And we believe that this is going to be the successor to the mobile internet.
The way I like to think of the Metaverse is that right now we log on, sign off, sign in, sign out of the internet. But with the Metaverse, it's going to be an ongoing digital experience that is around us at all times. There's no logging off, there's no logging in. It's just a perpetual experience. Our digital lives will be as important as our physical lives in the Metaverse. But Facebook's biggest threat is also their biggest opportunity, mobile internet. The devices we carry to access the internet. The current version of this is Web 2, and the problem with Web 2 from Facebook's perspective is that Facebook is just an app on either an iOS or an Android device. iOS and Android devices are core pieces of how we interact with the internet. They are platforms. And this is a problem for Facebook in particular because platforms have all the power. It's a monopoly. The Metaverse represents a new digital world in which there are no platforms yet. This is Facebook's best chance to build their own platform. Back to platforms having all the power. Facebook's fears came true in June 2020 when a small change by Apple resulted in Facebook shares being down over 40% this year. Apple announced changes to its mobile operating system that will give iPhone users the chance to tell app makers not to follow them around the internet. Privacy became a big part of Apple's strategy because more of us are now more concerned about privacy.
And last but not least, we are deploying powerful new requirements to advance user privacy throughout the App Store ecosystem. The first is a simple but revolutionary idea that we call the privacy nutrition label. Every app, including our own, must share their data collection and privacy practices. Information that the App Store presents in a way every user can understand and act on. The second is called App Tracking Transparency. At its foundation, ATT is about returning control to users, about giving them a say over how their data is handled.
This was a big deal because tracking you online is the backbone of the internet's advertising infrastructure. It's why, for instance, you can see ads for sneakers you've looked up on StockX when you're visiting other websites. And in Facebook's case, it's crucial for finding people advertisers want to reach, and importantly, telling them what happens after those people have seen their ads. The online marketing industry is a $230 billion per year market, dominated by Alphabet and Facebook. So this one change by Apple really affected Facebook's bottom line. But Facebook has loads of other data points that they can use to fill in the gaps. Facebook is an ad behemoth that isn't going away anytime soon, and it's perfectly reasonable to assume that it will make it through this, in large part because it's so large. But if you're an advertiser, there are very few places that you can go. Google is also considering offering the same privacy features on Android, but this will also impact their advertising business, which is actually the biggest part of Google's revenue stream. Today, in a Web 2 world, Facebook still has to operate under these parameters set by Apple and Google, which make and control the world's most dominant smartphone operating systems. Platforms have all the power, and Facebook is actually just another app. So Facebook needs the metaverse to future-proof their own business and stop being just another app on an iOS or Android device. But with their new metaverse strategy, they should have been paying really close attention to what Microsoft was doing. And in my opinion, Microsoft has the better strategy. So Facebook's metaverse strategy will focus on selling their Quest headsets. Adoption of headsets has been okay, but not great. Personally, I only know one person that has a VR headset, and he uses the PlayStation 1 to play video games. So why do I think Microsoft has a better strategy? They have two advantages: adoption and video games. When you look at how PCs were rolled out, most people didn't buy them. They were too expensive and had little utility for our personal lives back in the day. But businesses bought them because they were, well, more efficient and increased productivity. Once you had used them at work, it became easier to make the purchase for personal use. Microsoft has a bigger presence than Facebook in the enterprise market. Selling headsets to businesses is easier sell than going directly to retail customers at this stage. Conditioning people to see the value of working in virtual spaces, playing video games in virtual space. Next thing you know, entire economies will exist in virtual environments. The second thing is video games. Video games, in my opinion, are going to be the bridge for most people to get into the metaverse. Microsoft has spent the last decade positioning themselves as a major player in video game industry. Look at their most recent purchase of $70 billion for Activision Blizzard. Facebook does not have, in my opinion, a very attractive video game offering. Microsoft has the money and the adoption and video game advantage over Facebook. Most people downplay the video game angle, but trust me, video gaming is the biggest form of entertainment in the world, bigger than movies. Will the metaverse save Facebook, and will I be investing? It's not that simple. The metaverse represents a potential future where Facebook won't have the constraints of operating on Apple and Google platforms. If Facebook succeeds at being a pioneer founder of the metaverse, then it would be the company building and selling virtual reality headsets used to access that metaverse. It could also be a major distributor of apps or metaverse apps. It would be a gatekeeper per se, and this would all give Facebook a level of control and influence over the future internet that it doesn't have today. An important question to ask here is that in a world where we could be spending a lot of our time interacting in digital spaces, is Facebook the right company we want to have more access to our data? Valuation aside, is Facebook an ethical company that we can trust? Investing isn't all about making money. It's about shaping the world that we want to see. Anyway, let me know if you guys would be looking to invest in Facebook. I'm leaning more towards Microsoft personally. Let me know if you want me to make a video on that. Their metaverse strategy it's pretty good. Until next time, here's a video YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Catch you guys in the next one.